Hello, everybody out there, and welcome to another episode of Jersey Boy Sports Talk. I'm Nick Bogatis, along with Matt Stolboff here. How you doing out there, Snowball?
Doing well. Doing well.
We missed Snowball last week, and now we're missing CB, so I guess I'm the only consistent member on the show, apparently.
Yep. Pretty much. Last week I had something. CB, I don't know what's going on with CB, because we're not really sure how consistent he's going to be now.
CB is hopefully cleared from his concussion, but nonetheless, we will go on tonight. Phone number is 862-400-6461. Send in your texts. Also, you can send in your tweets to @JB Sports Talk. Any questions are welcome. And like us on Facebook at Jersey Boys Sports Talk with Nick Bogatis, CB Garrett, and Matt Stolboff. So, we're going to start the show tonight with everybody's favorite former backup quarterback, Johnny Football, Johnny Manziel. So Mike Pettin, I'm still not able to pronounce his name, but Mike Pettin came out this week and said that Johnny Manziel will get the nod this weekend, this Sunday, over Brian Hoyer to start for the Browns. And they are playing... Who are they playing?
The Bengals. They're playing the Bengals.
They are playing the Bengals in Cleveland. And we saw how the Browns, with Brian Hoyer, destroyed the Bengals last time. So, Snowball. Well, first of all, is this the right move by Mike Pettin?
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like a risky. It's kind of a Hail Mary, you could say, because the Browns. I mean, we got to say, overall, if you're looking record-wise, in my opinion, I think the Browns are having a pretty successful season. For their standards.
Oh, for the Browns? There's no question about that.
And I'm saying, if they were in another division, I think they would have maybe a better shot. But the North has just been so close. And, all the teams in there are over 500. And, I mean, I don't know. It's almost like a Hail Mary. The Browns are desperate to take the lead in the AFC North. And I think that they feel the only way they can do it is to put Johnny Football in there. And I don't know. I can't really explain what I think Johnny Football is going to do, because we saw him play a little bit against the Bills, and he looked calm. He looked calm. We didn't look too nervous in there. This is the first time that the team is really going to scout him fully. The Bengals are really going to look at him, look at all the film. Him in college. His few snaps in the pros preseason, and. This is the first time we're going to see a team really scout him, really prepare for him. Because the Bills, they didn't really prepare for him. They're looking for Brian Hoyer. This is the first time we're going to see a team really prepare for them throughout the week. So I'm very interested to see what happens. I don't think Johnny Football is going to do all too well. I think that D-line on the Bengals, and the secondary is pretty good also on the Bengals too. Terrence Newman, I think.
Terrence Newman, Dre Kirkpatrick.
Reggie Nelson's on the... Or he was on the Jets. But
I think Reggie Nelson's actually still with the Bengals, now that I think about it.
Yeah, so anyway, but you have the idea. So I just think that he's just going to get a lot of pressure. And honestly, in my opinion, especially what Hoyer did last time against the Bengals, I would start Hoyer. But the Browns see things differently and feel like they got to make a move. They really want to make playoffs, so they're going to go with Johnny Football.
Now look, I think Johnny Manziel is going to be a pretty solid quarterback in this league. I think he's the future of the Cleveland Browns, especially because they're not...
He is the future, yes.
He is the future. They are not going to pay Brian Hoyer this offseason, especially now that he's benched. Now, personally, I think Brian Hoyer is the better quarterback for this season, but he has been terrible lately. Now, I think they should have beaten the Colts last week. They actually cut Billy Cundiff earlier this week in favor of former Saint Garrett Hartley. Without Billy Cundiff, I think they would have won that game. But again, Brian Hoyer could have made a lot more plays. We saw how, I believe he overthrew Josh Gordon, and Johnny was sitting on the sideline saying, I would have bleeping hit him. So, I think it's time for Johnny Manziel to get his shot. I don't necessarily think that he's better than Brian Hoyer, but the way Brian Hoyer's been playing, you have to sit him. And the Browns are still in playoff contention. Now, granted, they are in the AFC North. They're in last place in the AFC North because every single team in that division is above 500. So they got dealt a bad hand, especially for the best season they've had since, I don't even know the last time the Browns had a winning record, let alone were in playoff contention. But I think it's just an early start to the future. Johnny Manziel was going to be starting next year anyway. So, like you said, it's a Hail Mary. If they make the playoffs, great. If not, Johnny Manziel just has more time to get started in the league. And I should ask, not only is it the better move, but how is he going to do this week against Bengals?
As I said before, you were a little bit away from the computer for a second, but I don't think Johnny Manziel is going to do well. Because of that D-line, they're really going to put pressure on him, and this is the first time that a team can really fully scout him, really prepare for him, because they know he's going to start. As I said, the Bills had no clue he was going to come in, or didn't really think he was going to come in, but he did for a drive or two. They still won, but
and the Bills handled him pretty well.
And that's what I'm saying. He still did pretty well for the drives that he played in. So, this team is going to really look at them, pay attention, close to every detail. I think they're really pound the rookie.
Yeah. I think the Browns have a decent O-line, but they're going to be coming after Johnny. I still think the Browns come away with the win. I figured
I don't think the Browns even win. With Johnny Manziel, I think they'll lose the game.
All right. Well, we'll get to that more during Garden State Sharks. So now, on to our good friend Adrian Peterson. Now, Adrian Peterson, we all know, had the appeal against the NFL because of his indefinite suspension and his placement on the commissioner's exempt list. Now, that appeal was denied, so he's still suspended indefinitely. I believe he's still on the Vikings roster, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so. I mean, he's suspended, so... Yeah. I mean, he's still a Viking, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, he is still a Viking.
I'm pretty sure he's free agent after the year.
I'm not sure about his contract status, but he is still a Viking because remember that GM had this big emotional speech about him and wouldn't release him no matter what he did and all this and that. So now Adrian Peterson actually spoke about his suspension, and he said that he would consider retirement now to train for the Olympics. I forget what exact event he was talking about, or maybe he's just going to wing it and do whatever they want. But, Snowball, are you buying that from Adrian Peterson?
Can you say the question one more time?
He's considering retiring from the NFL if he doesn't get a second chance, or the suspension is not lifted, whatever the case may be. He's considering retiring now and training for the Olympics in 2016.
Ooh, I do not buy that. There's no way. He would make enough. He would lose so much money if he decided to do that.
Well, how much money has he made in his career so far?
I mean, looking at his contract, he has a chance to make $14 million, $13 million a year. I don't think he's going to run away from that. Adrian Peterson, I know what the issues have been. We know what's going on, but he is still a very talented running back, and someone will want him, whether it's the Vikings or some other team. Somebody's going to want him, and they will still give him a lot of money because they know how talented he is. And they put the issues aside. He is one of the greatest running backs of all time, and if I was a GM and we're going to see what happens, I would wait, see what happens, come the offseason and what the decision is in terms of his issues, what the courts decide, what the NFL decides. I don't think he's going to retire. He's just going to lose, if it's anything, it's a money reason.
Well, actually, I have the direct quote from Adrian Peterson here. He says, "I've considered retiring from the NFL. I still made $8 million this year. I've thought about getting back into real estate, the real estate business in Texas. I'm already in. That's something I've been interested in, something I'm involved in. I've thought about getting back into that. I've thought about going after the Olympics too. You only live once." Of course, he had to throw YOLO in there. Then he goes on to say, "It might be time for me to pursue that as well. I love playing football, don't get me wrong. But this situation is deeper than that. For me, it's like, why should I continue to be a part of an organization or a business that handles players the way they do. Making money off the field anyway, why not continue to pursue that Olympic dream and pursue other dreams and hang up the cleats? So it doesn't seem to be a money issue for him. I think it's more about if he gets a second chance. Because this sounds like a guy who he's not being given the opportunity to get back into the NFL. He's only saying this because he has no other options. So we'll have to wait on the status of his suspension and see if Roger Goodell ends up lifting that, or when he does. So Snowball, let's say, hypothetically, the suspension is over by the end of the season. Who gives him a chance?
Vikings.
The Vikings will keep him?
Yep. We heard Zimmer even say, I expect Adrian Peterson to be on the roster next year. We're going to, I really think the Vikings, they want to keep him because, look at the Vikings right now. They're 6-7 without Adrian Peterson. Teddy Bridgewater does not actually look that bad. I know a lot of people would kind of criticize him a little bit, but I really think he's not a bad QB. And the team looks good. It's a young team. Adrian Peterson can really be a leader there. I know he's not going to get as much respect as before, but, this is a team that could potentially make a wild card spot. And in the NFL, if you get in the playoffs, anything can happen.
That's true. And we are talking about a guy who, coming off an ACL tear, was what?
Ran for the second most rushing yards in NFL history.
What he was, and it's not like he was off by much. He was off by what? 9 yards? 9 yards.
9 yards. I don't remember. But
single digits.
What I'm saying is, I think the Vikings. I really do think the fans want him back. They know that they're missing one thing, and that running thing is the running back position. They know if they can have Adrian Peterson playing for them, they will do it. So I think Zimmer and the crew are going to want Adrian Peterson back. He'll stay with them. No Dallas. DeMarco Murray is playing great for them. I don't know why they would replace. I would have Adrian Peterson over DeMarco Murray. But still, I don't know Dallas. I just can't see Dallas doing that to him. So I'm going Vikings, stays in Minnesota.
Okay, I could see that. But to your point about the Cowboys, we never know what Jerry Jones is doing, in fairness.
But, DeMarco Murray, this is the first year he's been healthy, and we can see how good he is.
That's true.
I'm just saying healthy so far.
I'm just saying that Jerry Jones typically does the exact opposite of what we think he should do.
And that's why I don't think Jerry should be a GM. But anyway, I can't stop him because he owns the team, so he can do whatever he wants. But I just don't see, I think it actually would look worse if the Cowboys signed Adrian Peterson than the Vikings did, because the Vikings would just have him back on the team because he's always been there. I don't see it as big as a deal. And they're not as scrutinized by the media as much as Dallas. If Dallas signs Adrian Peterson and, these issues are the same as they are right now, we could see some serious heat in the media.
Exactly.
Dallas could get serious heat there, yeah. So I think it's actually safer for Dallas not to even try to sign him if the issues are as bad as they are now.
Mm-hmm. So from one scandal to another, we move on to a potential New England Patriots scandal. Now, this story...
Another one. New England?
New England.
Really?
Yep. I was surprised by this as well. And important to note, this story does come from Deadspin, a site...
Deadspin, all right. I don't read Deadspin, actually. Personally, I don't.
Yeah, I know. This article was brought to my attention.
And I haven't seen the ESPN. ESPN, it's either ESPN or nothing. Or Bleacher Report or nothing.
Yeah. This story was on Twitter. That's the only... I saw it. Also,
yeah, that's really...
CB also brought it to my attention.
Just remember Nick picked the topics today, ladies and gents.
All right, so...
We'll talk about it, because actually you told me before, we talked about it before the show, and it sounds, if this is true, this is pretty harsh.
See, do you want me to explain it?
So go ahead, explain.
All right.
Go ahead, Nick.
just to preface this, this does come from Deadspin, the same site that is currently reporting the real story of Apollo 17, or promoting this story, the real story of Apollo 17.